It's 2019, but the same question still remains. What VR headset should I buy? Should I buy an Oculus Rift or an HTC Vive or even something else? This video will be about what VR headset should I buy in 2019. We will show you the advantages of the different kind of headsets and which ones you should probably avoid. So let's check it out. So, if you want to buy a VR headset, a good point to start is always what do I already have? Because if you don't have a high performance or a gaming PC, it's not really worth going for like an HTC Vive or an Oculus Rift, because you would need at least an additional $1,000 to get a good enough PC to run VR. But there are also options if you don't have a gaming PC, and let's go over them first. If you already know a PlayStation 4, PSVR is a good point to start, because there are a lot of games for the PlayStation VR who are really like high quality, and the device is also relatively cheap, around like $300. You can even get some deals where you pay even less. And of course it's not like a really technical advanced headset. It has a resolution of 1080p. And the tracking is also not very advanced compared to Oculus Rift or an HTC Vive, but it's still a pretty cool like beginner VR headset with a lot of cool games like I just said. And yeah, it's a pretty low investment if you already have a PS4. So yeah, if you have one, we can definitely recommend this. So, and what if you don't have any additional hardware? This is where standalone headsets come into play. These headsets don't require any additional hardware, and they do all the graphic rendering within the glasses. And one really popular one is the Oculus Go. It's pretty cool. It only costs about $200, and you can connect it to the Oculus Store, where you have like a huge library of games and videos. Of course, they don't have the power of a real PC connected system, but you can still use it for some smaller games and to watch videos, etc. So yeah, we think it's a pretty cool method, but we still have to mention here that Oculus is developing a new headset called the Oculus Quest, and it will be released in the next few months, and it looks pretty promising so far. It has a cool tracking method with like new controllers. And yeah, it's relatively cheap, around $400, and it looks pretty promising. So if you're interested in that, yeah, maybe keep an eye out and wait some more. Oh, I know what you're thinking right now. What about those glasses where you can put your smartphone in? Well, there are actually a couple of those, like the Samsung Gear VR or the FreeFly VR or the ShineCon VR. But yeah, they're not real VR systems and are only useful for a very limited amount of things like watching videos or something like that. So we won't really go deeper into that. To the PC connected headsets. Of course, the main discussion will be HTC Vive or Oculus Rift, but there are also some alternatives, and let's go over them real quick. So the first alternative is Timex, and Timex have two very famous VR glasses, and it's called the Timex 8K and Timex 5K Plus. And these goggles are technically very advanced, but they're also for like VR enthusiasts or hardcore VR fans, because they're not really cheap, because they can cost up to $1,000, and they're a lot another like price level than other glasses. So we won't really go into depth on Timex, because they're more like for enthusiasts and yeah, for people who maybe already own a pair of VR glasses. The other alternative is Windows Mixed Reality, and it's actually a term for like a technology rather than an actual hardware. And this technology is used by multiple VR goggles manufacturers, like this one is from Acer, this one is from Samsung, including these controllers. And yeah, the cool thing about it is that the software is already like integrated into Windows, and a lot of like Steam games can be played on Windows mixed reality headsets, which is really cool. Usually these headsets are not as technically advanced as like an HTC Vive, but they're usually a little bit cheaper, so that's pretty cool. They're also still developing new headsets, like different manufacturers are still developing new Windows mixed reality headsets, so keep an eye on them and maybe they will release something which is really cool. So yeah, if you wanna save some money for like a VR PC connected headset, you might should take a look at this. But yeah, otherwise if you wanna have the best performance, yeah, I would maybe look for something else. So this is the point you have been waiting for, Oculus Rift versus HTC Vive. And yeah, these are just the most popular headsets. And yeah, there are a lot of videos who go in depth about those headsets, but we're gonna give you like a quick real overview to see which one has which advantages and which one you should buy. So let's get to the price first. The base price of these headsets are around $400 for the Oculus Rift and around $600 for the HTC Vive. But what do you have to think about here is that we would really advise you to get another tracking sensor for the Oculus Rift, which is another $60 to $70. And we would advise you on the other hand for the HTC Vive to buy like this deluxe strap that we have here, because you get the audio also with it, otherwise you won't have integrated audio, and the strapped mechanic is just way nicer than the original one of the HTC Vive. So the strap costs about, I think, about $100 extra. So yeah, the Oculus is still a little bit cheaper than the HTC Vive. And now to the technical aspects. Both headsets are actually pretty similar. They use the same resolution. I think it's 2160 times 1200. We think though that the Oculus maybe have a little bit crisper image just by a small little margin, but both of these headsets are technically really cool. Yeah, if you look at the games, both of these games can use the Steam VR platform, and they also have their own platform. If you compare their own platforms, we think that yeah, the Oculus Rift maybe has like one or two cooler exclusives than the HTC Vive, but it's like a close margin. So yeah, those are pretty cool headsets, and yeah, both of them are great. To the last point is the tracking and controls. So, like we said before about the tracking, we would really advise you to get the third sensor for the Oculus Rift, but both of these trackings are pretty good. Like, both of them have good like headset tracking and controller tracking. Maybe the setup of the Oculus Rift is a little bit more complicated because you need to plug the sensors into the PC, which requires USB ports, etc. And on the other hand, on the HTC Vive with Lighthouse, you can just place them at the right place, and yeah, it will automatically like function once you do the room setup. So that's pretty cool for the HTC Vive. If we go to the controllers, we think like, we have them right here. The touch controllers of the Oculus Rift, they are pretty small and yeah, pretty light also. On the other hand, the HTC Vive is pretty big for a controller, I think. Both have their advantages. I think the HTC Vive is good if you do like some sword fighting games or something like that. But if you want to do fine stuff like drawing or just like grabbing things, this feels a little bit more natural. So overall, we think the controller of the Oculus Rift is just a little bit better, but they both are good in different fields. So yeah, let's get to the conclusion. I think overall the Oculus Rift is unbeatable, the price is pretty low, and yeah, it's just a great overall headset with great performance. Make sure you get the third sensor and yeah, you will be fine. So I hope you got a quick little overview of all the 2019 VR headsets. And now to the last question. Should you even buy a headset, like a VR headset right now? We think if you're going for a classical VR PC connected headset, you can never go wrong with the Oculus Rift. But if you have some time to wait, like we mentioned previously, the Oculus Quest is in development and should come out in the next few weeks. And yeah, if you have some time to wait, especially if you want to go for a standalone headset, yeah, wait for the release and yeah, watch the reviews, how it is. It looks pretty promising, like we said, with a cool little tracking method. And also, yeah, it's relatively cheap with $400. And it just looks pretty promising overall, so maybe wait for that a little bit. Otherwise, there's also stuff in developing like the HTC Cosmos, or Rift is also developing a new, Oculus is developing a new Rift, but we don't have a release date yet. So yeah, I think you're safe with the PC one. If you want to go for something else, maybe wait for the Oculus Quest. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more. And you can also post recommendations if you want to have a video over a certain topic. And yeah, see you next time.